Hello and welcome to Data Transfer on Hpcc. In this video, we'll cover the basics of transferring data on and off MSU's High Performance Computing Center, Hpcc, and editing your files on Hpcc once they've been transferred. So let's get started. There are a few ways you can transfer data on and off Hpcc. In this video, we'll go over how to use SCP, and there are several SFTP clients that are available. We have a few listed here in the Hpcc documentation. Specifically, if you're on a Windows machine and you're using MobaXterm as your SCP client, it also has an SFTP client bundled together. If you're on a Linux or a Mac computer, you have SCP available to you. SCP is a Linux utility used to copy files between hosts that are on a network. It uses SSH for data transfer and uses the same authentication and provides the same levels of security as SSH. SCP will therefore ask you for a password or passphrase to authenticate the data transfer. Let's take a few minutes now to walk through the syntax of SCP. So the syntax is fairly straightforward. To make a secure copy from one location to another location, a source and a target must be specified. If you're moving files from your local laptop to the Hpcc, the local path name is provided first, followed by your remote host with an optional path. The remote host is given in the form username @remotehost : followed by the destination path on the remote host. There are a couple of things you need to note. First, when you're transferring between your local system and the Hpcc, you'll want to perform the transfer from your local machine and not the Hpcc. Second, the remote host will always be the rsync gateway instead of the login gateway. And so you can see here, if we're transferring this example file from your local machine to Hpcc, first provide the source and then a destination is given as your home directory on Hpcc. So we've just demoed how to transfer data to the Hpcc in your home directory. If you wanted to provide a different location than your top level home directory, you could as well do that, and this is how you'd specify the exact location. You can also, again, rename the file that you were transferring. You could also decide that you wanted to transfer data onto your scratch space instead of your home directory. Now, if you wanted to transfer data from the Hpcc, what you'd do is fairly similar. The only difference is that you'd reverse the source and the destination locations. So in this case, the source would be Hpcc and the destination would be your local laptop. Now, sometimes you want to transfer data to the Hpcc from another machine that does allow SSH login. First, you'll want to log into the Hpcc using the rsync gateway. Once you're there, you want to SCP with the source being the login details for your other domain and your other username and the path to that file. For the destination, you can select whether you wanted to move it directly to your home directory or scratch directory. The other utility that's really useful for transferring data to and from the Hpcc and can sometimes be faster is the rsync Linux utility. It's much faster than SCP, primarily because you have the option to only update existing files and folders instead of doing a fresh download of all your files. Just a quick note here, the rsync utility is different from the rsync gateway. Follow the documentation here for some more information about how to use rsync on Hpcc. If you're transferring multiple files with SCP, you can use the -R option to recursively copy your directory. One key thing to note with this option is that while your directory structure is maintained, your permissions and your ownership may not be. One way around this is to pack multiple files together while you're on the Hpcc using the tar command and to zip those files together. And then from your local machine, you're going to use SCP to transfer that zipped file to your local laptop. and untar that file using the -x flag. So if you want to transfer large data from your laptop to Hpcc, or you want to share data with collaborators outside of MSU, or with a site outside of MSU, Globus is the tool that will help you to do that in the most efficient way. Generally, if you want to use Globus to transfer data to or from another device, like between your laptop and Hpcc, you first need to create a Globus account and set up your MSU Globus online account. And in a few minutes, we'll walk through how you do that. Next, you'll need to install the Globus Connect personal tool and set up your laptop as an endpoint. Once you have these two things in place, you're ready to begin transferring data between Hpcc and your local device. The Globus endpoint on Hpcc is MSU-Hpcc, and you can name your local laptop with its own endpoint. There is some documentation available for walking you through how you do that transfer, and a little later on in this video, we'll walk you through how to do a transfer as well. It is also possible to do a Globus share on Hpcc. We won't walk through one of those during this video, but you can follow the documentation here. Generally, you will select the folder you would like to share, identify who you want to give permissions to access that data, and what type of permissions you'd like to give, and then you can initiate a share. It is also possible to use the Globus service from the command line, but in this video, we will demonstrate using the web application. Let's take a quick look at how you would transfer files with Globus. First, you'll go to globus.org and log in at the top of the page. Then you'd simply search for the organization Michigan State University and click Continue. If your organization is not listed, you can create a separate Globus ID or log in with your Google account. If you selected use your existing organizational login to create an account, you'll be redirected to your organization's login page. Use your credentials for that organization to log in. Once you've logged in with your organization, Globus will ask you if you'd like to link an existing account. If it's your first time logging into Globus, click Continue. If you already used another account with Globus, you can choose to link the existing account. If it's your first time logging in, you may be prompted to complete some additional information. Complete the form and click Continue. Finally, you'll need to give Globus permissions to use your identity to access information and perform actions like file transfers. Once you've provided consent, you'll be redirected to the File Manager. Click on the Collections search box. You'll be prompted to download and install the Globus Personal Connect tool, which allows you to create an endpoint on your local device. To set up your Globus endpoint on your personal computer, first you want to download the Globus Connect tool. Follow the on-screen instructions. At the end of the installation, you will see the Globus icon in the menu bar at the top of your screen, indicating that Globus Connect Personal is running and your new collection is ready to be used. To configure your Globus Connect Personal, you want to click on the Globus icon in the main menu bar and then select Preferences. You can see that you can configure how the icon looks in the menu bar, and you allow Globus to automatically download updates. You can set up preferences for which directories and files can be accessed on your Globus Connect Personal endpoint. By default, your home directory is made read-write accessible, but you can, of course, change that. You can deny access to hidden files in your home directory. You can make other folders accessible for transfer just by clicking the plus sign at the bottom left and looking for whatever folder you want to make accessible. One thing to note is that if you would like to share a folder from your local laptop, you must either be a Globus plus user, or your Globus personal endpoint must be managed under a subscription. So most times it's easier to share folders that are on Hpcc rather than on your laptop. If at some point in the future you want to remove the Globus Connect personal tool from your laptop so that your laptop is not a sharing point, pan to the General tab and click on Delete, Globus Connect Personal, Configuration, and Exit. At this point, you have created a Globus account and you should have access to your files on Hpcc. And you've downloaded the Globus Connect personal tool, and so you have access to your files on your personal laptop. And you want to begin transferring files. So in the web app, you want to log into your Globus account, and then on the left menu bar, you're going to click on File Manager. We're going to set up a split screen so we can see the data that we are transferring and the location that we are transferring it to. If you're using this tool for the first time, the collection field will be blank. So in the left pane, you want to select your endpoint as the Hpcc, which that endpoint is MSU #Hpcc. By default, your home directory is displayed, but you can feel free to change the path to point to your research space or your squad space. Then in the right pane, you want to select your local endpoint. And in our case, I'm going to select the endpoint on my laptop. And here I can see the files that are in my home directory on the Hpcc and my local laptop. I'm going to go ahead and transfer this text file from my local laptop to the Hpcc. And I'm going to click Start on the right-hand side since I'm transferring from my local to the Hpcc. And there you can see I have a notification that the transfer has been initiated. We can view the details here. You can see the destination, you can see the label, you can see the current condition that this transfer is active. And you can also see how many files are being moved. And now you can see that that transfer was successful. I will also receive an email from Globus letting me know that the transfer went through. If for some reason the transfer were interrupted, let's say my internet connection dropped, once I reconnected, the transfer would automatically pick up where it left off, and it'll keep retrying for about 3 days. So back here in my file manager, take a look at my home directory on Hpcc, and I refresh there. You can now see that I have this text file in my home directory on Hpcc. And so this is how you would do a file transfer using the Globus service. If you were an MSU account holder, you have access to Google Drive and OneDrive through the Microsoft partnership with MSU. These cloud platforms give you an additional way to store your data. However, if you want to access this data on Hpcc, this can be a little tricky using the SCP and Globus services, which we just previously described. So I want to introduce you here to Rclone, which is a command line program for syncing your files between your cloud storage and remote services like Hpcc. You can find a link to the documentation here for how to access this on the Hpcc, and we'll go through a brief example now of how you will configure Rclone on Hpcc. So to get started, you want to log on to Hpcc, and then you want to create a connection to your cloud storage. You first will need to load the Rclone module by typing module load Rclone. Next, you want to establish a new connection by typing rclone config into your SSH console, and you'll be prompted to set up a new connection. And so you're going to type N for new connection. Next, you'll be asked for a name for your remote storage. I suggest naming your remote after your cloud storage platform, and I'm going to use Google Drive in this example. Next, you want to select Google Drive from the list of providers and enter the number 12 into your console. Accept the default client ID and press enter again to select the default client secret. I'm going to enter 1 here because I want to give full access to my drive. However, there are a few other options that you can select. I recommend selecting 1 for normal configurations. Then you'll be asked for a root folder. This can be left blank for this tutorial. And next, you'll be asked for a service account file. We can leave this blank as well. You'll be asked whether you want to select an advanced configuration. We don't want to do that, so we'll select no. And finally, we don't want to use autoconfig. Firefox browser should appear shortly. If that doesn't happen, highlight the link and paste it into your host machine browser. You'll be prompted to log in with your MSU credentials. Copy the key that appears on the screen and paste this into your console right at the prompt. You'll be again asked whether you want to configure your team drive, and this is totally up to you. However, for personal storage, it's easier to simply type N for no. At this point, you can verify your credentials, and if they're all good, then you want to type Y for yes, and congratulations, you have configured your drive. So to view your remotes on Hpcc, you can use the command Rclone list remotes, here you'll be able to see all of the remotes that you have configured. The names of each of these remotes is listed in your config file. To find the path to your configuration file, use the command rclone config file. To view the contents of the file, type cat space followed by the path. If at some point in the future you'd like to remove all your folder connections, you can simply type rm followed by the path to the configuration file. This config file will be deleted, and your remote connections to your cloud storage will also be no longer available to you. So in this case, we only have one remote connected, but if you had multiple remotes connected and you only wanted to remove one of those remotes, you would edit this config file and remove the information for that particular remote. To view the quota info for your remote storage, you're just going to type rclone followed by the about command and the name of your drive. In our case, we would use Google Drive followed by a colon. To view a list of all the top-level directories in your remote path, you're going to use the command rclone lsd followed by the name of your remote storage and a colon. To see the total size and the number of objects in a remote path, you can use the rclone size command followed by the name of your remote, colon, and the subfolder that you're interested in. So in this case, the remote that I'm particularly interested in is Google Drive, and the subdirectory is hpcc_scripts. To copy files on Hpcc to and from your remote, you can use the rclone copy command. So let's take a look at a brief example here. Here you can view my home directory on Hpcc, and you can see the test subdirectory. And I want to back up this directory on my Google Drive. So I'm going to use the rclone copy command, provide the source on the Hpcc, and the destination on Google Drive. And I'm going to use the same name on Google Drive, so test. To view the contents of this new subdirectory on my remote, I'll use the rclone list directories command followed by Google Drive, colon, and the directory test. And here you can see within the test directory, I have 2 other subdirectories. Notice the lsd command only shows me the subfolders that are within my remote, but if I do actually want to see the files that are contained within a subdirectory, I need to use the rclone lsl command. Google Drive, :test /intro to Linux. And here I can see a list of all the files that are in this subdirectory. If I want to make a change to one of these subfiles in my home directory and I want to back that change up onto my Google Drive, then what I can do here is use the Rclone. Use the Rclone sync command, provide the directory on my Hpcc, and then followed by the Google Drive test directory. And so this ensures that the copy on my Hpcc is current with the copy that I have backed up on my Google Drive. So we've just reviewed how you'd use the Rclone command line tool to sync your files between your cloud storage and Hpcc. So now that we've transferred our data onto Hpcc, we need a way to edit those files. On Hpcc, the default command line editors available are Vim, Emacs, and Nano. There are a couple of GUI plaintext editors as well. gvim and gedit are just a few of those that are available. The choice of which editor you use is completely up to you. The plaintext editor allows you to edit your text files, and literally only your text file, and to save files on Hpcc. To open the text editor of your choice, you're going to provide the name of the editor, followed by the file you would like to open. So in the case of Vim, you'll type Vim, followed by myfile.txt. If you use a GUI plaintext editor, what will happen is that the window will pop out, and you will have a separate window in which to edit your files. So let's take a look at how we would actually edit a file using Vim. To edit the file, we first need to be in the insert mode. To access that mode, you're going to press I, and then you can edit your file, and to exit that mode, you can press escape. The command mode allows us to do things like saving our file, deleting lines, pasting text, etc. So let's take a look at how we would edit the plaintext file we just transferred to Hpcc. So here we are, I'm in the gateway node, and I'm going to hop over to dev AMD20 with the -x flag so that I can use a GUI editor if I want to. And so if I wanted to use gvim, and the file we transferred was a text file, and I expect to see a window pop up. All right, so here we are. We can see the text that's already contained in this file. And if we want to edit this file, press I for insert mode, and there you can see it's in insert mode, and we can edit. So here, this is just a test. This is the latest update. And so I've added a line of text here, and I'm going to press escape to exit the insert mode and enter the command mode. And you'll see that the insert banner right at the bottom there goes away when I do that. And so now I want to save this file, and the way to do that is to type colon, and you see that appear right at the bottom, WQ, and I'm going to keep the original name of this file. So there we go, I've quit, and I'm back to my command line prompt here. To view the changes to that file now, I can cat the contents of that file, and there you can see that that file is now updated. Editors allow you to edit in some really efficient ways, so take a look at the documentation. I hope this video tutorial was useful for helping you to get started with transferring your data on and off of Hpcc. If you have questions, you can continue the conversation at contact.icer.msu.edu. Thanks for watching.